Was King Anajib a rightful ruler, or a king who stole history? This question has echoed through the millennia, buried beneath the sands of Saqqara, whispering from the very stones that were meant to secure his legacy. To understand the mystery of Anajib, we must travel back nearly 5,000 years to the dawn of Egyptian civilization. This was the First Dynasty, a fragile era where the newly unified kingdom of Upper and Lower Egypt was still finding its footing. Pharaohs were not just kings, they were living gods, the mortal link between the heavens and the earth. Their power was absolute, their word was law, and their legacy was meant to be eternal. It was a time of monumental ambition, of great pyramids yet to be built, but the foundations of royal power were being laid, stone by heavy stone. Into this world of divine kingship and political maneuvering stepped a ruler whose name would become a puzzle for historians: Anajib, the seventh king of this pioneering dynasty. His reign is shrouded in controversy, a dark chapter in the otherwise glorious narrative of Egypt's founding fathers. The evidence that survives suggests a story of struggle, ambition, and perhaps deception. Was he a legitimate heir, or a usurper who tried to rewrite the past to secure his future? The truth lies hidden in the fragments he left behind. The story begins in the shadow of a giant. Anajib's predecessor, King Den, was one of the most powerful and successful rulers of the early dynastic period. Den's long and prosperous reign solidified the pharaoh's role, introducing new royal titles and symbols of authority that would endure for centuries. His death left a power vacuum, a moment of uncertainty for the young kingdom. It was in this tense political climate that Anajib ascended to the throne. His claim was through his mother, Mernith, a powerful regent who may have ruled in her own right before him. But was this connection enough to satisfy the powerful court factions and priesthoods who guarded the gates of legitimacy? Anajib seemed to think not. From the moment he took power, his actions suggested deep-seated insecurity about his position. He needed to prove he was not just a placeholder, but a true, divinely ordained pharaoh. He took on grand titles, including the two lords, symbolizing his dominion over the dual aspects of the divine Horus and Set. He commissioned ceremonial vessels and stone seals, stamping his name across the administration of Egypt. He conducted the Great Set Festival, a jubilee meant to magically rejuvenate the king's power, a ritual usually reserved for monarchs with long, established reigns. Every act was a calculated move, a desperate attempt to weave his own story into the sacred tapestry of Egyptian kingship. He was screaming his legitimacy to a world that may have been doubting it. But it's not what he created, but what he may have destroyed, that truly defines the mystery of his reign. Archaeologists examining artifacts from this period have uncovered unsettling clues. Stone vessels bearing the name of his predecessor, King Den, or even his regent mother, Mernith, appear to have been crudely erased and reinscribed with Anajib's own name. It was a practice known as usurpation, a political power play written in stone. By erasing another's name, a king didn't just claim an object. He absorbed the history, the power, and the legitimacy of its original owner. It was a form of historical theft, an attempt to blot out the memory of a rival and strengthen one's own fragile claim. Was he simply continuing the work of his predecessors, or was he systematically erasing them from the record? This practice suggests a ruler deeply concerned with his place in the dynastic line, willing to overwrite the past to secure his present. In early Egypt, royal symbols were not mere decoration. They were potent vessels of power. The Serik, a rectangular frame containing the king's Horus name, was the primary symbol of royalty. To have your Serik carved into stone was to exist for eternity. To have it erased was to be condemned to oblivion. Anajib's reign is marked by a curious pattern of reusing and altering these sacred symbols. On labels and seals, his name is sometimes squeezed into spaces where another's has been wiped away. This wasn't just about efficiency, it was a statement. He was asserting his authority over the very memory of those who came before him. We see this at his tomb in Abydos, a relatively modest mud brick structure compared to his predecessors. Even here, the artifacts found within tell a story of a king striving to cement his legacy, yet the scale of his final resting place whispers of a reign that was perhaps shorter or less prosperous than he would have us believe. It is a contradiction that lies at the heart of his rule, a king with grand titles but a modest tomb, a ruler claiming eternal power while seemingly stealing it from others. Religious and political authority were two sides of the same coin in ancient Egypt. The king was the chief priest of every god, the intermediary whose actions maintained cosmic order, or Mat. By controlling religious rituals and sacred objects, the pharaoh controlled the state. Anagib's decision to perform the said festivals so early in his reign was a bold religious and political statement. It was a direct appeal to the gods for validation, a public spectacle designed to overwhelm any doubts about his divine right to rule. But this desperate grasp for legitimacy may had backfired. The evidence of usurpation, of erasing the names of his own kin, would have been a dangerous game. To tamper with the sacred names of past divine kings was a grave offense, an act that could disrupt the very cosmic balance he was sworn to uphold. It suggests a growing instability within the kingdom, a court divided, and a ruler whose authority was being challenged not just by mortals, but perhaps, in the eyes of his people, by the gods themselves. The final, damning piece of evidence against Anagib comes from what happened after his death. Just as he may have erased the names of those before him, his own name was targeted for destruction. His successor, Semerkit, is also a controversial figure, and some evidence suggests he may have erased Anagib's name from certain records. The cycle of usurpation continued, a dynastic feud played out across generations. But the most complete erasure came centuries later, during the compilation of the Great King Lists. In some of these official histories, carved in stone to last an eternity, Anagib's name is omitted entirely. It's as if the later pharaohs, in their quest to present a clean, unbroken line of perfect rulers, found Anagib's reign to be an inconvenient truth, a blemish on their glorious history. They chose to forget him, to write him out of the story, and smooth over the cracks in the foundations of their dynasty. The man who may have stolen history became a ghost in his own kingdom's memory, so we are left with the fragments of a troubled reign. The hastily recarved stone bowls, the modest tomb, and the conspicuous absence of his name in later chronicles. These silent artifacts speak of a king who fought for his place in the world, who tried to shout his name loud enough for eternity to hear. But the silence that followed is deafening. His story serves as a stark reminder that history is not just what happened, but who gets to tell the story. The stones of Egypt hold their secrets close, and the full truth of Anagib's rule may be lost to us forever. We are left only with the enduring, unanswered question. Was King Anagib a forgotten ruler, or a king history chose to silence? Thank you for joining us on this journey into the distant past. If you find these ancient mysteries as fascinating as we do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories from the annals of history.